Hi everyone, I want to bring to you another devotion from the book of Proverbs, and I've entitled this one Concealment or Confession, and it's based on Proverbs 28:13, where it says, people who conceal their sins will not prosper, but if they confess and turn from them, they will receive mercy. Most of us naturally default to concealment when we stumble and we mess up in our lives. It's been the human response to personal failure since the time of Adam and Eve, when it first happened, when they sinned in the Garden of Eden. Their instinct was to try and hide because they experienced shame and vulnerability. They tried to cover their nakedness and conceal themselves from God. And it is in our human nature to try and protect ourselves from feeling vulnerable and guilty. So we develop unhelpful self-preservation responses known as defense mechanisms, and one of the classic ones being concealment. We use concealment because reputational appearances seem more important than the actual reality. There are several reasons why concealment is not a healthy response to failure. First of all, concealment becomes a learned behaviour that becomes an ingrained deceptive pattern that persuades us that openness and transparency is weakness. Secondly, it corrupts our moral sensitivity so that we become desensitized to wrongdoing. Thirdly, it creates a false sense of security that produces a misguided belief that we've got away with something, and it gives us a false sense of security that we've got away with a problem, an issue, and that will be the most desired outcome for us. Fourthly, it distorts our sense of reality and it messes up our moral compass. We become persuaded that we can get ourselves out of our own self-inflicted situations, when the truth is only God can redeem us. And lastly, concealment does not resolve the failure of how we feel about it. At best, it suppresses or delays the need to face up to our failure. At worst, it perpetuates and deepens our feelings of shame and guilt. Someone said concealment is the foe of tranquility. And I'm sure we've all had those feelings when we've tried to deceive ourselves, pretend something's not gone wrong, and that thought just keeps nagging away at the back of our minds until we actually face up with it and deal with it. Concealment just provides fuel and energy for more damaging behaviour in the future. The biblical way of resolving failing wrongdoing is to front up with honest confession and genuine repentance. This is more than just being remorseful or sorry that we've been caught out and the consequences of what happened to us. This is a sincere yielding of where we've gone wrong to the actual mercy of God. We might want to shy away from being those feelings of being exposed by bringing our wrongdoing out into the open. But the reality is, God knows about it anyway. He already knows where we've messed up. He already knows what we've done. So we might as well be open. We might as well confess our wrongdoing so that we can activate and release the mercy of God into who we are. And that is the wonderful thing about confession. Instead of it being something that we should back away from, it actually should be something that we readily embrace, because it brings that release into our beings. It frees us up. It frees us up from deception. It frees us up from guilt and shame. It actually brings us into that joy of acceptance by God. Our confession triggers the mercy of God to be released into our lives that allows us to move forward again. It allows us to take those steps again once more where we feel good about ourselves, where we feel positive about our lives, without the past taking us prisoner and torturing us on that rack of regret and guilt. Concealment makes the soul an infested swamp, confession is the only way to drain that swamp and to release that corruption and that pollution out of our lives. May God bless you to live in a spirit of confession rather than concealment.